I'm Carrie Coppernall with The Oklahoman, and we're here today with Amy Stevens, an educator at the Oklahoma City Zoo, and she's going to talk to us about the history of elephants at the zoo. And Amy, why don't you show us some of the artifacts that you've brought?
Well, in the zoo's history, we've had two really famous elephants that we're going to talk about today. One was Luna, and the other one was Judy. And I brought some things that came from Judy. We don't have a lot from Luna because it was so long ago. But right here is the cover of a little book that was written when Judy the elephant arrived in Oklahoma City. And this is the story of how she came here. And on the back page of this book was a life-size footprint of Judy the elephant. And she was only 2 years old when she came, and so she was still really small. We also have a couple of books that were written about her. One of them, this here, is after she'd grown up a little bit and started performing. And so this was a book that was handed out at the zoo for the visitors, and it talked about the animals. But she, of course, was the most famous, so she got the front cover. We also have zoo keys, and those of you who've been to the zoo recently know that zoo keys are they're boxes throughout the zoo, and you can put a key in, and then it'll tell you a little story or something. Well, this zoo key was originally issued in the 1960s, and it was dedicated to Judy the elephant. Well, when the zoo had its centennial celebration a few years ago, we brought the zoo key machines back. And of course, we had to do a commemorative one for Judy the elephant. And so this is the new zoo key that we use. And you put it inside of the box and then you hear stories. I also have a t-shirt. Over the years, a lot of t-shirts have been issued about the animals at the zoo, and Judy was on a lot of the shirts. But this one's kind of special. This was the zoo wren, and she was featured that year, and every year she had a huge birthday party at the zoo, and people would come out for free cake or ice cream, and it was a wonderful celebration. And right here is a copy of the postcard that was issued for Judy, and this is a picture of her still very young. She's up on top of a little barrel, and she was just at that point beginning to perform. And then I also brought a copy of a new book that came out in 2006, and this is the story of how the zoo got started in the early 1900s, and it tells in detail the story of Luna the elephant and Judy the elephant and so many other famous animals that have lived at the zoo. The Oklahoma City Zoo is the oldest zoo in the Southwest, and it started, like so many others, with people donating things that they found in their yard and things that they found in Oklahoma, like bears and eagles and those kind of things. But people, of course, began to want more exotic things. When asked, what animal do you want for our zoo? Everybody said an elephant. And so it was very community driven, and when the people said, we will raise money to buy an elephant, the zoo took it seriously. And sure enough, kids started raising their pennies and their coins at schools, and they were able to get the $2,700 they needed to buy an elephant. And then they also had to fulfill the commitment to feed her at this time when there wasn't a lot of money at the zoo. Well, when she arrived in 1930, it was April 25th, they wanted to have a huge party, a celebration for her, and they wanted to do it in grand style. And so they had a parade. A big parade that went through downtown Oklahoma City. They put Luna on a flatbed truck, and all the schools came out. School was out that day, and there were bands playing. I went to the animal fair, and apparently it was just chaos. But that little elephant named Luna was just so calm anyway, and the children were crowding around the vehicle, and she just took it in stride, and people came to the zoo just to see her. She was the animal that got a brand new exhibit, and she had a special bed made just for her, and she had a heated pool and all the things that many of the other animals at the time didn't have. Exhibitry wasn't very advanced at that time. So she was just a delight, and she lived at the zoo for many years. And so when she passed away in 1949, the zoo, of course, was in mourning. And then the most amazing story came out of that, because there was a little boy in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, and he heard that Luna had passed away on February 16th, 1949, and he said, let's buy a new elephant. Let's do what they did before. And he got his friends together, and they raised about $16 whole, which was a lot back then, and brought it to the zoo. Well, interestingly enough, the zoo director at the time, Julian Frazier, and the Daily Oklahoman had already been in contact and decided that they wanted to start another campaign to raise money for an elephant. And so they immediately capitalized upon that and made it sound like it was all his idea. And so the very next day, ads came out in the newspaper, let's buy a new elephant. And within just a couple of weeks, they raised $8,000. Well, Julian Frazier was able to pick out what elephant he wanted. He drove to California, where a ship of elephants had come over, and he walked through looking for which one he thought might be a good fit. And this one little teeny little 2-year-old elephant is the one that kept reaching out with its trunk and batting him. And he picked her. They whisked her off and hid her at the Fort Worth Zoo. And the Fort Worth Zoo was kind of her holding place until they could get the big celebration together for the elephant to come to Oklahoma City. 10,000 people showed up and stood in the streets, and little Judy was put in a flatbed truck, just like Luna was, and driven down the street until she passed away in 1998. She was just the most celebrated animal at our zoo.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come in and talk to us, Amy.
You're welcome.